like walk around my house wearing, bringing blankets. We all do this. Because if you'll see, we kind of live in a fishbowl. It's very open and windowed, and because it's in Southern California, it's not like they're double paned, protected windows. So it's like, it's a sieve in here sometimes when it's cold at night. So that's why I have my blanket and my jacket on half the time. Anyway, hi, Gina Brogan here with Second Act Life Coaching. I'm going to talk to you about resistance. What is this resistance we feel when we are in a new phase in our life and when we're in some sort of transition, which we are often in transitions, right? But I am, in a transition period in my life where I'm just really like stepping up and stepping out into a new phase in my life. And every time I kind of get to a new level, or I'm pushing to get to a new level, it's almost like I'm being born again. Like I feel like I'm being squeezed through a very thin hose, and it's very uncomfortable. If you have experienced this, you will know what I'm talking about. Whenever you are sort of up-leveling or going for a new anything in your life, and you experience feelings of fear and doubt and who am I to do this, and you've got all these like voices in the back of your head going, you're not meant for this, you're not good enough, who are you trying to kid? You're going to do that? No way. Who's going to do this with you? Who's going to believe in you? These feelings are so very normal. And I kind of felt like I wanted to talk to you about this today because I know a lot of people who are intending to make changes in their life because it's the new year and that's what we do. And they feel like, why would I even bother setting intentions and setting goals for this new year? I'll never do it. I never do, and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's not really the case. And you really can set intentions to make significant changes in your life. And this time of year is just as good as any. It's not any better or any worse. So since we're here, why not go for it? And if you're on here and you want to say hi, say hi. Let me know who I'm talking to. So I'm talking about resistance. When we set a new bar for ourselves and we raise the bar to achieve something new in our lives or make a change, and we want a lasting change, it's so very common to have that really uncomfortable feeling that we've got to see ourselves through in order to get to the other side, right? I have, because I've been going through transition period for a few years, like just sort of steadily up-leveling and changing and growing into this person that I am becoming, I've had a lot of these experiences where I'm like, woohoo, flying high, and then I have this dip, and I'm like, what is this feeling? Oh my God, I just want to be like under the covers. Fortunately, though, I've had people who are supporting me. I've had a support system to tell me, oh yeah, that is what you can expect. That's very normal to expect, all of your fears to come up and all of these crazy stories to come up in your head and say, you can't do it. You are not going to be successful. You just need to stay in your comfort zone where everybody knows who you are and what to expect from you. It is the person who knows how to get the support that they need and how to coach themselves through those periods of extreme discomfort who are able to get through to the other side. I want to hear about your experiences. Have you experienced these levels of, these up-leveling situations where you've had to go through that extreme discomfort to get to the other side? And for example, I have, what's going on right now. everybody's talking about, what are you going to do differently in this year? Are you going to quit smoking? Are you going to become healthier? Are you going to change your diet? Are you going to start exercising? Are you going to go for a better job? Are you going to start a business, write a book, get in a relationship, get out of a relationship? What are you going to do that's really just for you to live a happier life? Whatever it is, you are going to need a couple of things to support your growth. And one of those things is a strong support system. Because yes, you can get yourself to a certain point. But when that dip comes and when those fears start talking to you, how are you going to nudge the needle out of the record rut? That is such an old reference for anybody who's too young to remember record needles getting stuck in the record. But for those of you who remember records, and they would get stuck on a word in a song view, and we play the same thing over and over, that's where the reference "a broken record" comes from. But we get these stories stuck in our head, and it takes some nudging to get through. It takes some discomfort. Why is that? Well, because we are programmed for our survival to stay safe. We are programmed to look for danger and to keep our eyes out for danger all the time. So our reticular activation system, or RAS, is always on the lookout for anything that will tell us, no, 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 don't go in there. That's safe. There's lions and tigers in there. That's not safe. It is our job, though, to coach ourselves through it, to say, I know that there might be lions and tigers in there, but I can get through. I have the tools to protect myself from the lions and tigers and to go after that, whatever that thing is over there, get to the other side of the stream. So who do you have for your support system? For so many people, I know it is hard to find a support system. You might have a partner who's a great support system, but they may be resistant to you growing. Because what does that mean for them? That means they may face some fears of abandonment. They may face some fears that would require them to grow. And so it's really important to recognize when you are in a relationship or in some kind of codependent situation. I know for myself, whenever I am making significant changes in my life that are really just, that feel good to me and that are my choice, I know a couple of little, not so little, teenage boys who are naturally going to be subtly aware of the shift in energy and resistant to any change, because it just represents change, and change is fearful. So when I notice that I'm doing something different and my kids, are acting up as a result to get my attention and to keep me, say, Mom, come back, we don't want you to change, I know that that's just their fear talking. It's nothing to take personally. And when I'm aware of the reasons why they might be acting up, and if you can be aware why maybe your partner is acting up, or the people close to you, your friends, your normal support system might be behaving differently. If you are moving on to the next level, maybe you're getting more education for yourself. Maybe you are doing something really expansive and it feels really great to you, but for your support system, your friends, your partner, your kids, it might be scary, and they may provide more resistance than support. If that's the case, maybe you can just bring your awareness to what it is. Now, if that resistance comes fully from inside of you, and it's in the form of those barking dogs saying, you're not going to be successful, what are you, you don't have enough money, you're not thin enough, you're not rich enough, you're not educated enough, all the reasons why somebody might tell themselves they're not worthy of up-leveling. That is when you can talk to your journal, you can talk to yourself, you can talk to a friend who maybe has been there, maybe a friend who has made that jump. And you can get an understanding of why this resistance is coming up. I always recommend starting with your journal because that's where you may find a lot of information being revealed to you that is happening, going on somewhere back here, but until you allow that voice to speak and you ask yourself questions and maybe you allow yourself to write out some answers, you might be surprised at what comes up. Recently, my coach asked me, I said, hey, I'm having a real challenge here in this area. And she said, ask yourself why you are resistant to this thing happening. There was something I wanted, and I wasn't allowing it to come in. And she said, go and journal it out and ask yourself, why am I not allowing this thing that I say I want? And then you can reveal to yourself things old stories that will come up. And it can be really, really enlightening because you can learn more about yourself. And then once you reveal those things that are holding you back, then when you bring those fears and limiting beliefs to the surface, then you can deal with them. You can ask yourself, oh, is that true? Because it might be a story that somebody told you when you were like 3 or 4 or 5. Like, oh, good girls don't become lawyers. I don't know. Good girls don't act bossy. And you've ingrained that story in your brain so much so that you have never allowed yourself to really be in charge of anything, even your own life. So that can be a really revealing exercise. You can bring up these stories, and then once you know the stories, find out if they're true. If they're no longer true for you, then you can tell yourself, oh, that story is no longer true. Let's write a new story. Or you can tell yourself, that might feel true, but let's see. Can I come up with any other example in the world where that's not true? And then you can write a new story. If you can come up with counter examples to suggest that story that you've been carrying around is not really true in the world anymore, then you can write a new story. That's where you just say, you know what? Actually, really successful girls are bossy because they know what they want, and they're so great at articulating what they want, and they can articulate what they want with love and compassion. They can articulate what they want respectfully. When you teach yourself that you don't have to, blow your top to express your needs and desires, but you can express with love, compassion, and respect, you have just written yourself a whole new story. I had this experience recently where I had to have a really difficult conversation with somebody, and I realized that's not something I've really ever taught myself to do, because I taught myself always to keep my stories down, keep quiet about my real needs and desires, because good girls don't make waves. I trained myself somewhere early on in life. I trained myself to be quiet and don't make waves. Well, I can tell you, I almost drowned in those still waters. It wasn't until I learned that I have to make waves in order to survive. I have to swim. But after making waves, I learned that I actually can swim without making a tsunami. I don't have to be destructive in order to stay alive and stay afloat. I can learn how to express my needs and articulate them with